Good morning, everybody. If we could take our seats, please. Okay, thank you. Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Mike Harding, and I'm the Chairman of Lynas Corporation Limited, and I'm pleased to welcome you to this annual general meeting of the company. I'd like to remind everybody today's AGM is being filmed, and it's being live streamed via the internet. I would now like to introduce my fellow directors. Our non-executive directors are Kathleen Conlin, Philippe Etienne, John Humphrey, and Grant Murdoch. Most of you will know our Chief Executive Officer, Amanda Lacaze. Also on stage is our Company Secretary. No, he's not. He's coming through the door. Andrew Arnold. In addition, Gavin Buckingham and Glenn Maris, partners from our audit firm, Ernst & Young, are in the audience today and available to answer questions later in the meeting on the auditor's report in the financial statements. I understand that all shareholders and visitors have registered with our share registry boardroom before the meeting. Notice of the meeting was dispatched to shareholders on the 18th of October 2018, and accordingly this meeting has been properly convened. We have a quorum present of more than 2 shareholders, and accordingly this meeting is able to transact the formal business as set out in the notice of the meeting. Before we proceed with the formal business of the meeting, I will deliver a brief chairman's address. After that, Amanda, our CEO, will deliver a presentation. We will then table the 2018 financial statements. At that point, we'll pause for questions on my speech, Amanda's presentation, and the financial statements. After questions, we'll continue with the formal business of the meeting. There will be opportunity for shareholders to ask questions on specific resolutions after each resolution has been presented. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Lynas board, I would like to welcome all our shareholders again today. 2018 was a very good year for Lynas. Key highlights for 2018 included record production, positive cash flow, and significant debt reductions. I would now like to summarise the progress we made on each of these areas. On production, Lynas continued to make improvements in the production rates, the quality of its rare earth materials during the year. In FY18, production of NdPr was approximately 5,400 tonnes, compared to 5,200 tonnes in FY17. Total rare earth oxide production increased by 1,750 tonnes to 17,800 tonnes in the year. The Lynas Next project initiatives allowed the company to increase output, expand the production range, and improve product efficiency. I'm pleased to confirm that the company achieved 600 tonnes of production in September 2018, well ahead of the original target of January 2019. During FY18, Lynas achieved its first net profit after tax of $53 million. Cash flows from operating activities were strong, increasing to $118 million in FY18 from $34 million in FY17. And we achieved record total sales revenue after commission of $374 million during the year, compared to $257 million in FY17. On debt reduction, on the 30th of June 2017, the Lynas loan facilities totaled $425 million US, comprising of $200 million to JARE and $225 million to the convertible bonds. On the 30th of June 2018, the principal amount of the loan facilities had reduced to $165.2 million. As we've indicated in recent announcements, a review of our Malaysian operations has commenced following the change of government in May this year. Our CEO, Amanda Lacaze, will talk about this topic and operational aspects of a business later. So on behalf of my board colleagues, I would like to thank our CEO, Amanda, the executive team, and all our employees for the roles they played in delivering an excellent performance this year. But more importantly, and lastly, I would like to thank all our shareholders, including our long-standing retail shareholders and the institutions who have joined our register or increased their holdings in the company over recent years. We look forward to continuing to build value together. So I'd now like to hand over to Amanda to talk us through in detail the operations for Lynas. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. Good morning, everybody. Great to see you again. I would like to join Mike in welcoming everyone here today, and particularly to those who are viewing us via webcast. It is indeed a great privilege to lead your company and to have been part of its transformation to a proven and profitable producer of especially rare earth materials. I am particularly proud to present to you today in the year that we have declared our maiden profit. Today, Lynas is in the enviable position of being the world's second largest producer of neodymium praseodymium, try saying that after a few glasses of red wine, and the only miner and processor of rare earth materials outside of China. We have built our business on the principle of zero harm. You know, Angus, if you stand and grow any taller, it's going to be a problem. 6'4" is enough, so I think you guys should come and sit down. There's lots of seats actually here. I'll feel like I have to talk too fast if you're standing, and I don't want to do that. We have built our business on the principle of zero harm. That is zero harm for our people, zero harm for our communities, and zero harm for the environment. This is evident in the world-class safety and sustainability of our mine in Western Australia and our plant in Malaysia. We are proudly compliant with all regulations in both locations. And as a result of this approach, Lynas is now the sustainable supplier of choice for a number of strategic manufacturing customers around the globe. We are focused on continuing to build value in our business, and in doing so, building value for our shareholders. Equity value has been moving in the right direction since 2015, and 2018 represented a significant step change. This is a direct result. Yes? This would be your big head, Andrew. Are you right now? Terrific. Okay. The important part of this chart, however, is on the right-hand side. But I'm pleased that you let me know. So equity value has been moving in the right direction since 2015, and 2018 represented a significant step change as a direct result of the conversion of the bond, and that came as a result of our unrelenting focus on delivering to our strategy and continuing to grow our position as a leading supplier of quality rare earth materials. As Mike mentioned, 2018 was truly a landmark year. We recorded our first statutory profit and positive EBIT as a rare earths company, significantly reduced debt, and embarked on our Lynas Next growth project, which has increased production and grown our sales volumes. As you can see from these highlights, and I do love charts that look like these, you know, they're supposed to go in that direction. Our strong operational performance and disciplined approach to cost management contributed to significant improvements on all key financial metrics. As Mike mentioned, net profit after tax was $53.1 million. That's a substantial improvement from the restated loss of $0.5 million recorded in FY17. EBIT increased to $81 million from a loss of $14.5 million in FY17. Adjusted EBITDA increased to $127 million from $31.9 million in FY17. Gross profit for the year grew to $121.1 million from $14.7 million in FY17, and positive cash flows from operating activities, remembering that cash is the thing that never lies. How much money you've got in your bank account every day is the only thing which will always tell you the truth financially. So positive cash flows from operating activities continued to increase to $118.5 million from $34 million in FY17. As a result of our performance in 2018, we were in a position to make a number of voluntary prepayments to our senior lender and to reduce the outstanding principal amount of the JARE senior loan facility by $50 million to US $150 million at June 2018. Following the conversion of $209.8 million gotta love that, point 8, of convertible bonds. Outstanding convertible bonds were reduced to 15.2 million at June 30th, 2018, and the total principal amount of the group's loan facilities reduced to 165.2 million. A key differentiator for Lynas Rare Earths is our strong focus on sustainability. Ensuring we have a sustainable balance sheet and profitable business is an essential component in our approach to sustainability. So too is life cycle assessment, which ensures sustainable supply of materials and finished products and drives continuous improvement in environmental practices. Manufacturers need to trust their raw material supply and their raw material supplier. They need to know that they are sustainable, and this is especially important when they are making procurement decisions for eco-friendly and digital age products. We are engaged with several end users and magnet makers in life cycle assessment from mine to magnet. We are collaborating with several institutions such as the Demeter Gloria project in the EU to evaluate the impact on the environment of the full supply chain activity in accordance with United Nations guidelines. Our ability to demonstrate the sustainability of our activity sets Lynas apart, and it is highly regarded by our customers.
Could you please not drop your voice at the end of sentence?
Oh, okay. You see, I'm a Queenslander. And Queensland dialect generally has a rising inflection, and I've spent most of my adult life trying to, deal with that, and I've clearly overcompensated. So I'll go back to being a Queenslander, eh? So our reputation as a sustainable supplier of rare earth materials puts us in a strong position to benefit from growing demand. Ensuring we have the cost-effective production capacity to grow with the market was the key driver of our Lynas Next project, and I'm delighted to say that the Lynas team has achieved each of the objectives we set for that project. Key achievements of the $35 million Lynas Next investment include increasing our production capacity to 600 tonnes per month of NdPr. We did that in September 2018, even though we originally planned to do it early in 2019, 4 months ahead of schedule. Increasing our recoveries, product quality, and cracking and leaching efficiencies. Upgrading our Mount Weld resources and reserve statement to confirm a 25-plus year mine life at Lynas Next rates. Introducing new products, including separated Nd and PR, increasing our sales revenue as a result of production improvements, and investing in R&D for new applications for rare earths and developing new partnerships with companies and universities. What makes Lynas Next really remarkable is the fact that it was not just that it was delivered on time and on budget, but it was delivered by an in-house project team, and we did not significantly interrupt production. Having people with intimate knowledge of our operations design and execute the project has ensured downtime is limited and new skills and intellectual property have been retained in-house. Our increased production capacity and our strong focus on sustainability, isn't he handsome, have increased Lynas's reputation as the sustainable rare earths supplier of choice.
Lynas is perceived by end users as the sustainable supplier they need to secure their supply chain now and for the foreseeable future. In a market that enters into a very fast growth period, Lynas is recognized by rare earth solution users across the world as a key contributor to delivering sustainable supply of critical materials. As the move towards car electrification accelerates, the superior efficiency of rare earth permanent magnet motors is essential to minimize the size of the battery, hence the cost of the car and the environmental impact of this new technology.
So that's Paul. He's our head of sales and marketing. So each year I like to share something new with you. I know that many people think AGM's, the best AGM is a short AGM, but for many of you this is your only time to really get an insight into our business. And so for this year, I would like to take you on a virtual tour of our operations. Some of our larger institutions get to visit us in person. For many of you, you don't get that opportunity. So starting at our mine in Mount Weld, Western Australia. As this flow sheet shows, Mount Weld is where we mine on a campaign basis and process our concentrate. The foundation of our company's value comes from under the ground at Mount Weld. It is a Tier 1 deposit. That means high grade and long life. This year, as part of the Lynas Next project, we completed the first stage of a 6-stage drilling campaign to increase our understanding of the Mount Weld ore body. As a result, we upgraded our resource by 70% and our reserve by 60%. And we confirmed an over 25-year life of mine at Lynas Next rates. I often fall into the trap of regarding this as the simple part of our flow sheet, but as you can see from this slide, it includes many steps, each of which has their own challenges. At Mount Weld, we have 101 staff, including geologists, metallurgists, mining engineers, and an environmental scientist. We are constantly innovating to deliver improvements in rare earths mining and processing. Some of our recent projects have included innovations in water management. Water in many ways is our most valuable resource at Mount Weld. So we've implemented dissolved air flotation, ultrafiltration, reverse osmosis, and managed aquifer recharge, including some very clever new water farming techniques. These improvements are essential as our process requires clean water and our only source of that is the aquifer. Innovations in residue management, including enhanced tailings deposition and mud farming technologies. Continuous improvement in residue management will assist us to minimise future tailings dam construction and associated costs. R&D and collaboration with universities and research institutes to find more efficient and sustainable processing methods. We have set ourselves the target of achieving a step change in our recoveries. We don't quite know how yet, but we've made some very positive first steps. And as with all our operations, Mount Weld is accredited to ISO 9001, ISO 14001, OHSAS 18001. Here are just a few photos to show you what all those words on innovation look like on site. So on the top left, you can actually see the dissolved air flotation unit, which was installed as part of the Lynas Next projects. This ensures that we defoul the water and are able to recycle more of it. Our stack cell, which we've put into our float circuit, we've tested the best place for that to give us improved capacity, and we are currently actually installing the first of those units. And then the D-slime testing, isn't that a lovely title? As part of our metallurgical R&D with 2 of our new women working within our business. As many of you would know, this has been a matter of key focus for us to increase the diversity of our workforce and particularly to increase the number of talented young women who work for us. We don't need any more old ones. Moving now to our operations in the Gebeng Industrial Estate in Malaysia, I'd like to start the tour in our central laboratory. The Lynas Central Laboratory is a high-tech, high-volume, quick turnaround laboratory. It services the full value chain in Malaysia, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. 2 years ago, we set ourselves the target of creating a world-class laboratory. This means having a lab where we are confident and innovative in our methods, consistent and accurate in our results, and able to deliver quick turnaround. We want to be the employer of choice for experienced chemists and young graduates, and we want to be a reference lab for the rare earths industry. We have made much progress and today are very proud of our central laboratory. Although we are not yet where we want to be, we have made great strides, introduced new methods and built a really capable and well-skilled staff. Just to give you a sense of that, 53 staff, including 38 chemists, 50 of our staff are Malaysians, there are only 3 expats, 1,500 samples a day, 15,000 analytes a day. We've pioneered new analysis in process solutions, we collaborate with the local universities, and we are accredited under various ISO standards. And I'd just like now to introduce Shelto Smith, who is our lab manager.
Good morning, I'm Shelto Smith, manager of the Central Laboratory at Lynas, Malaysia. We're busy setting up a world-class rare earth laboratory here. We process about 1,500 samples today. The samples are processed right across the value chain at Lynas, so we started cracking and leaching right through to our final products, and we also do in-house control of environmental and waste streams. The staffing in the laboratory is about 53 people, 3 expats, and the rest is Malaysians. Our philosophy in the laboratory is that we have multi-skilled labour, all with BSc chemistry degrees, and the reason for that is every technician is able to prepare samples as well as analyse them on our equipment. We're employing new methodology in the laboratory, slightly outside of the norm, and the reason for that is the high volume of samples that we need to process and the quality of results that we need to produce. In terms of standards, our company is accredited with ISO 9001 and 14001 in terms of environmental, and we also have 18001 in terms of safety. We're currently in our ICP optical emission room. We have 2 Agilent ICPs here. These are assembled in Malaysia, and parts and application support is easily available. These are 2 simultaneous instruments, and they can do 1,300 samples per day. Basically, we're doing 1,050. We do both non-rare earths and rare earth analysis on these instruments down to ppm level. And these are the really big workhorses in this laboratory.
Now let's visit our engineering and maintenance team who provide 24/7 support for over 10,000 items of equipment. Yes, 10,000. Just to give you a sense, that includes 4 60-metre high-temperature gas-fired rotary kilns, 8 high-temperature gas and electric tunnel furnaces, 53 high-speed centrifuges, 46 plate and frame pressure filters, 934 agitators, 1,100 pumps, 3,564 field instruments, 303 variable speed drive units, 112 programmable logic controls and process control systems that control process parameters with 17,000 loops across the plant. Maintenance can be one of those thankless areas. We only sometimes remember it when there's a problem. But not for us. Our maintenance team progressively remediated many of the original design flaws at our plant, and it has been really clever work. There hasn't been a reference site they can visit. The innovation and design work has been theirs, including working with our local suppliers and engineering firms. The engineering and maintenance department includes 115 staff, 19 engineers, 100% of our maintenance department are Malaysians. But enough from me, let's hear from Amir.
My name is Amir Hakim. I'm a Senior Engineering Services Manager. So my job is over here is to maintain the equipment inside the plant and also improve the reliability so we can get a safe production. Engineering services, we have 115 people, including projects next team. A lot of improvement and maintaining the job. So we have various education people in engineering from MBA, bachelor, diploma and certificate in technical. We have developed people over here. It's 100% Malaysian and local. You can see the Super Bob. The original is only bare metal, now using brick that can last is about 1 year. The original is only 3 days. So it's a huge improvement that we made, and then it's success. The second thing is Superme, okay, using the system vacuum, okay. The original pumping is only last about, some is 1 day, some is 3 days. So by using this, we can last about 12 months, okay. And then the latest information is about 2 years, the NTBF. So here is the valve. We are using the ceramic. The original valve is only 3 days lifespan, but now it can last longer, about 42 days. And this is the lens to transport the concentrate mixing slurry from the super bulk into the kiln. The original is only the bare metal. Now we improve using the silicon carbide that can last about 9 months. So a huge improvement from our team to increase the production at Lynas.
When we had the review committee visit, I want to share one of the things that they said in the lab, bearing in mind they're academics in university labs. One of them said to another one, "Oh yeah, I'd like to work in this lab if I was a new graduate too." And they were really impressed with the work in maintenance, because a lot of this is IP which is generated in Malaysia, and it is about building skills and competence within our local industry. So moving along to our cracking and leaching area, this is where we produce the rare earth sulfate solution feed for SX separation. I think many of you will remember this was the area of the plant that provided many challenges in the early startup days of the plant. It's a high temperature, acidic environment and has presented challenge after challenge in terms of equipment and therefore process reliability. Many of those things Amir just talked about are actually in the cracking and leaching area. The Lynas Next project included many enhancements in cracking and leaching, including a new conveyor, improved feed, upgrades to our waste gas systems, and significant work in our magnesium oxide neutralisation circuit. Today we are reaping the benefits of this investment with significant improvements in reliability and recoveries, providing the baseline for our increased capacity.
My name is Abdul Rahman. I'm the Senior Manager of Cracking and Leaching. I've been working in Lynas, Malaysia for almost 8.5 years. Well, let me show you the cracking process. This is where we receive the concentrate and we unload the concentrate. And we feed it into the inclined conveyor. Up there, we're going to mix the concentrate with sulfuric acid and pump it into the kiln. The kiln temperature around 1000 degrees Celsius, and exit of the kiln we're going to add the water where we neutralize and feed into the leaching circuit.
Hi, my name is Ganison. I'm the senior process engineer for waste gas treatment plant, and right now I'm going to explain to you about the waste gas treatment after cracking. What's going to happen is we're going to pass through a few stages. Then at the stack, everything is coming out is the plume, it's clean plume, which comply to Malaysian standard, environment standard law.
And you could see our beautiful new conveyor there. The area of our operation which has been most controversial over time is radiation and the management of our solid residues. We are confident our approach assures we meet our commitment, zero harm for our people, for our communities and for our environment. We do this by first understanding the risk associated with our processes. In the case of radiation, the IAEA, the International Atomic Energy Agency, describes it as intrinsically low risk. It is worth noting that our concentrate is not even regarded as radioactive for transportation purposes in Australia. It's only placarded once it hits the Kuantan port. Having properly assessed the risk, the next step is to implement systems and processes to manage that risk and to ensure there is no pathway for our operations to affect the health of our surrounding communities or environment. The responsibility for this rests with off-site utilities and residues, or OUR, which is our operation delivering plant-wide services, wastewater treatment and residue management.
Hello, my name is Greg McCullough. I'm the General Manager of the Lynas Advanced Materials Plant here in Kuantan, Malaysia. Lynas' wastewater treatment plant is similar to many metallurgical plants. plants in that it produces a synthetic gypsum via lime slurry utilisation. What is not similar to most metallurgical plants is that rather than pumping a tailings slurry to a tailings dam, Lynas thickens and then pressure filters the residues. The use of pressure filters allows us to dry stack our residues, which is world's best practice for residue management. After filtration, the water recovered from WLP residue is 100% recycled. After neutralisation, thickening and filtration, the water from the NUF treatment is subjected to further checks and further processing. Water after filtration is sent to 2 large surge dams. Here it is checked against various chemical parameters and either recycled to neutralisation or sent to the next stage of treatment, which is biological oxidation. At the end of a batch, the water is checked against Standard B discharge guidelines. If it meets those guidelines, it is sent to the Clearwell lagoons, or if not, it is retreated. At the Clearwells, again, the water is checked, this time against Standard B requirements, and if it passes Standard B requirements, only then can it go out our final discharge point.
My name is Azam bin Awam. I'm the manager of OUR Wastewater Treatment Plant. I'm joining Lynas on May 2010. On March 2012, I'm becoming one of the Lynas radiation worker. One of my functional job is to taking care of NUF and WLP residue. As a radiation worker, we are given the personal monitoring badge to detect any absorbed dose to our whole body. The maximum cumulative that I got is 0.74 millisievert per year, which is lower than public allowable radiation exposure at 1 millisievert per year. For radiation worker, maximum allowable radiation exposure is at 20 millisievert per year. I'm like the living proof that confirm Lynas business is safe.
Hello, my name is Muhammad Rizwan. I'm the environmental engineer in Lynas Malaysia's Nirmahait. So basically this is our demonstration for RSF, Residue Storage Facility, and also we have added the permanent disposal facility also. This is after we finish the WLP stock. So we add the temporary HDPE liner as a capping. And then the third one is designed for our PDF. So as we can see here, we got a HDPE liner, same as previous, and we add the geosynthetic clay liner with the high properties of sealing, and then PET geodes textile as a physical chemicals and radiation barrier, and then followed by the sand and bio barrier, soil and rock mulch.
Hi, my name is Sili Zawani binti Khairuddin. I'm from Radiation Safety Department. Today I will demonstrate to you about the radiation monitoring for our residue and from permanent disposal facilities. Okay, this is our residue, the water leaching purification, which is known as WLP. And this is the reading for for the WLP. Okay, this is a proposed permanent disposal facility for Lynas operation. And I will take the reading. It is about, the reading is about 0.07 microsievert per hour, which is equivalent to the background reading. And the background reading for in Malaysia is about 0.2 microsievert per hour. So what I say is the reading for radiation after we do the permanent disposal facility is safe.
So I think that this is important in terms of understanding, as I said, no pathway for our activities to affect the health of our local communities or the health of our environment. So moving on to solvent extraction, this is where we separate our rare earths. Upstream we separate our heavies from our lights, and then we separate our lights and heavies into NdPr, La, LaCe and Ce chloride streams. This is where the magic occurs. Every area in our operation has its challenges, but in SX it's all about a detailed understanding of the chemistry and careful control of the process. This is rare expertise. Pun intended. Laugh. No, okay. And we have developed it onshore in Malaysia, and in so doing have established a centre of excellence outside China, which is valued by our customers and of which we are rightly proud. And as we speak, we are just starting to produce our first separated ND and PR, another first for our business. This is a highly technical process. We've developed significant IP that's not found anywhere else outside of China. We have 76 staff, 74 of those are Malaysians, only 2 expats. And we have upstream 136 stages in 4 circuits and downstream 500 stages in 5 batteries undertaking all of this work. Khairul's going to explain the separation process a little more.
Hi, my name is Khairul Sohaimi. I've been working for 10 years in Lynas. So now I'm a senior manager for solvent extraction. Okay, in a solvent extraction plant, we are producing rare earth chloride. Okay, and from cracking and leaching, we are receiving a solution which is the rare earth solution. Then in the upstream, we are separating between the light rare earths and also the heavy rare earths. Okay, then further downstream we are separating LCPN, okay, into PRND chloride and also LaCe chloride. Okay, then in SX6, I mean the downstream further, we are separating PR chloride and also ND chloride, right? Then the other side of the batteries, we are also separating between La chloride and also Ce chloride.
So I don't think that video totally does Khairul justice. He's most impressive when he stands up. He is the tallest Malaysian I know. He's about 6'4". And he is carrying rather too much weight at present, and I've told him that directly, so I'm not saying something behind his back. However, Khairul is a perfect example of someone who joined our business. He's worked in cracking and leaching, he's worked in product finishing, and now he is the senior manager in SX. He has developed significant skills across this period of time, and what he knows about SX and his ability to control that process is knowledge which is literally only found in a handful of people across the world. So we are really proud of Khairul, and we are really proud of what we do in SX. The final stage of our processing is product finishing, and this is where the rare earth chloride is processed into a carbonate or oxide final product. It's a really interesting area of the plant. We've got many different processes, chemical and physical, and finally, after being calcined in our tunnel furnaces, the product is bagged and ready to ship. Our PF engineers are heavily involved in new product development and continuous quality and process improvements. As part of the Lynas Next project, we've invested in new equipment in PF that has enhanced reliability and, importantly, segregated product lines in a way that supports continued quality development and delivery.
Hi, my name's Luke Derbyshire and I'm the manager here at Product Finishing. Product Finishing involves taking the purified rare earth solutions from solvent extraction and converting them into a solid product. Although the process and equipment has been optimised since commissioning, the primary reason for our development into a world-class rare earth producer has been the development of our staff.
Hi, I'm Rafali Ramli. I'm Warehouse and Logistics Manager. So now we are in finished good warehouse phase 1. So you can see behind me all the movement around. So we have few products and we are exporting our product in various countries to Japan, China and Europe. We are using in 20-footer container. We are exporting through Kuantan Port and Port Klang.
So, having heard from our people in Malaysia, I'd like to take a moment to update you on the Malaysian regulatory environment. But I would encourage you afterwards to actually look at some of the posters that we have outside, which are representations of the advertorials that we've placed in Malaysian press, and particularly read in their own words what our people have to say. And I have to tell you that we are always overwhelmed with volunteers to be published. So it's not, we certainly have a case where our Lynas staff are proud to be known to be working for Lynas. But anyway, as I said, let me talk about the Malaysian regulatory environment, including the review of our operations that is currently underway. As you will have seen from recent regulatory updates, a committee was appointed by the Pakatan Harapan government in October 2018 to review and evaluate Lynas Malaysia's operations, including safety, health and environment performance, management of residues and impact on human health and the environment. The review committee has examined extensive information, including from Lynas, relevant government agencies and indeed from some of the anti-Lynas groups. We welcomed the review committee to the Lynas Malaysia plant on the 10th of November. They toured the plant. In fact, we used the same material and agenda for our somewhat briefer virtual tour here today. That tour took closer to 5 hours on the day the review committee visited us. They met the same team members that you have just heard from. In addition, the review committee conducted a public hearing on the 11th of November. It was extremely well attended with approximately 800 attendees. I was really delighted that there were more Lynas supporters than there were Lynas detractors. I was extremely proud of the behaviour of those who supported Lynas, which was respectful to the committee and disciplined at all times, somewhat in contrast to certain of the anti-Lynas groups. But probably the thing I was most pleased about was the feedback from what I would call neutral members of the audience. And there was a number of these that gave this feedback. They said they had previously been part of the anti-Lynas groups. They'd distanced themselves because they didn't like their behaviour. They were pleased that the public forum was held, and they were particularly pleased with the information which was shared. At that meeting, all 5 agencies which were involved in regulating Lynas reported that Lynas was compliant with all conditions. The review committee is due to submit its report to the Minister today. We expect the Minister will take some time to consider the report, which will then be considered by Cabinet. As we indicated in the quarterly report on the 25th of October, one of the business as usual applications that we have lodged is for an increase in the annual volume of lanthanide concentrate that can be processed at our Lynas Malaysia site this calendar year. As it is now late November and we've not received that approval, we are prudently planning for a temporary shutdown of production in December. The potential reduction on NdPr production in the December quarter of not receiving this approval and including the reduction in volume from the final Lynas next commissioning is expected to be approximately 400 tonnes. However, it's important to note that the calendar year limit on the volume of material that Lynas can process in Malaysia will be reset on the 1st of January 2019. In conclusion, I would like to share with you our commitment to being a truly excellent corporate citizen. We don't want to be tolerated, we want to be welcomed because we're really good at what we do. We take an ethical approach to everything we do, from our dealings with government and regulators to the positive contributions we aim to make to our staff, our communities and the broader economies in which we operate. We recognise that having a social licence to operate is essential to our success, and our view is that as we prosper, so too should our people and our communities. We apply this approach at our operations in both Australia and Malaysia. In Malaysia, where we are a foreign direct investor, our first and most important priority is safety And you have seen that in our virtual tour today. The safe operation of Lynas Malaysia is currently being considered by the Review Committee, and we look forward to reading the committee's report when it is published. However, in addition to the safety of our operations, our duty as a foreign direct investor is to provide employment opportunities for Malaysians and to successfully create economic value for Malaysia. To date, Lynas has created over 1,000 direct jobs. 97% of our staff are Malaysian. And our employees benefit from skilled jobs that pay 4 times the average salary in Pahang, that's the state in which we operate, and 2.5 times the national average salary. We develop the skills and capabilities of our Malaysian staff. Over 70% of our managers are Malaysian, and 80% of those managers have been promoted in their time at Lynas. We invest in training to ensure that every one of our employees has the skills to perform their jobs safely and effectively. We believe it is our duty to be building IP in Malaysia, and examples of this include the establishment of a world-class rare earths laboratory in Malaysia, the innovative work by our engineering department, which shows our sustainability, our commitment to reusing and repurposing equipment to meet our sustainability goals, and the extensive research conducted on reusing the residues generated by our operation. We are committed to contributing to the development of the Malaysian economy by creating positive growth opportunities. Our local procurement policy is one example. We source 80% of our imports locally, 80%. And local suppliers have been able to grow and invest in their own businesses as a result. Through our investment, Lynas has contributed to the establishment of over 4,000 jobs in the local region. Since 2008, we've contributed 2.6 billion ringgit in foreign direct investment, including our capital investment in our state-of-the-art plant. Our suppliers have made capital investments in excess of 300 million ringgit. We've established a capable supply chain that can be used to develop further downstream local industries. Our impact on GDP in Malaysia in 2018 has been over 969 million ringgit. That's a very precise number. And we accounted for about 3.7% of Kuantan's gross value add. And of course, we are committed to making a direct contribution to our local communities. Both in Laverton, Western Australia and in Kuantan, our people are active members of our local communities. We contribute financially, but most importantly, we contribute with on-the-ground assistance. From things like building a chicken coop at the local women's refuge in Laverton to refurbishing school libraries in Balloch. In all instances, we aim to contribute to improved education and health outcomes for local people. We offer school, intern and graduate programs, and many of our employees are involved as supporters and volunteers for local community services. In the past 2 years, we have welcomed onto our staff some of our first Ivory Tower graduates who first joined our program 6 years ago. Every one of us who works in Lynas is proud of our work. We are proud of the business that we have created, and we are looking forward to the outcome of the review committee. As I explained to the committee, it's our intent to always be an excellent corporate citizen, to care for our people and the environment, and to meet all our obligations to our communities, both our local and our broader communities. It is this drive that will ensure we are able to continue to grow our business and continue to deliver improved shareholder value. I will now hand back to Mike to continue with the formalities of today's meeting.
Thank you, Amanda. What I'd like to emphasise is, before we get on to questions, is I think from the board perspective and the perspective of the shareholders, I'm so pleased with the achievements of Amanda to date. And when I look, I'm up for re-election this year, as you know. when I look back 3 years ago, it was nothing like this. I'm so proud and pleased as to what's been achieved for ourselves and for the shareholders. So we'll now move to questions, and I will table the financial statements of the company for the year ending the 30th of June 2018, consisting of the annual financial report, the director's report and the auditor's report. The annual report was dispatched with the notice of this meeting to shareholders who requested a hard copy. An electronic copy was made available on the ASX website and the company's website. We would now like to ask for questions on my speech, Amanda's presentation and the financial statements. If you'd like to ask a question, please stand and go to the fixed microphone, which is in the middle of the room back there. So questions, please, on what you've heard so far.
Yes, good morning. My name is David Cummins, and I'm pleased to see you. I have a number of questions, but just very simply, your intentions for China and your relationship with China and the compliancy with the Chinese authorities for the importation of the goods coming from Australia to go to China.
Do you want to answer that now, or you thought you got some more?
Sorry?
We can answer that now if you want. Okay. Amanda.
Expectations of growth over the next
growth.
12 months.
All right then. I'll list them down and then we'll go to...
customers of Lynas, the main customers.
All right. Okay. There's three, so...
And is Lynas governed by Malaysia or Australia? Which government of Australia is supporting? Is it Labor or Liberal supporting Lynas?
Well, you can answer that.
Who knows?
Okay.
So you mentioned the previous speaker was 90% is Malaysian employees in Lynas.
Yeah, she mentioned that. All right. Well,
That's all I have to say.
Well, that's enough.
Is it enough?
Yeah.
Thanks.
All right, we'll go through them one by one. Amanda, they're probably all yours, to be honest. China, growth, customers, and governance.
Sure. I'm not sure I completely understand the query about intentions for China. China is the world's largest rare earths market. As a significant rare earths producer, we need to be able to participate in the world's largest rare earths market. Notwithstanding that, our real focus is on growing a strong and capable outside China supply chain, and focusing on growing our share as far as possible in the end users that use rare earths outside of China. In terms of expectations for growth, our products go into two primary value chains. One is the magnet supply chain, which is particularly important in things like automotive, electronics, renewable energy, automation products. It's typically growing that value chain at around about the sort of low double-digit figures. Our other materials go into mixed oxide or value chain, which ends up being used in catalysts. It's also growing, but more in sort of mid-single-digit sort of range. But I think that this is one of the things that makes Lynas, sort of a great business. And the most important thing for anyone running a business is, are you operating in a growth market? It's very hard when demand disappears. Ask a buggy whip manufacturer. So the growth in the market is important for us, and we're exposed well to that growth. In terms of our main customers, as I said, we seek to build strong outside China supply chains. Magnet makers, all the significant magnet makers are either in Japan or in China. We have significant share with the magnet makers in Japan. And some of the sorts of names there that you would maybe recognise would be Hitachi Metals or Shinetsu. In China, you probably would be less likely to recognise some of their names. It would be people like JL Mag or GQD. In terms of oxides and in the catalyst supply chain, it's customers like Solvay, BASF, Albemarle, Grace, these are large players in those supply chains. And finally, are we governed in Lynas or Malaysia, and which political party do I support? Look, I'm reasonably happy to go out on a limb and just say, as a sort of a blanket statement to the world at large, I just hate all politicians, right? I lost my local member in Australia and a Prime Minister for no apparent reason. I'm dealing with sort of all sorts of political issues in Malaysia, and who would want to be in the US today? So, yeah, but we operate in both jurisdictions, and it is important for us to be compliant with the laws and the regulations in both jurisdictions, and that's what we do.
Okay, thanks, Amanda.
Andrew McLean Cross, shareholder. I'd like to ask about worst case scenarios. Now, I'll put some specifics to you. First of all, we're closing down the plant and we're losing 400 tonnes of production. If we had not had to close the plant, how much would that able to produce? What is the cost of those 400 tonnes of forced closure, because we haven't got that extension? And if, take two other scenarios, supposing the government says we're not going to grant an increase in production, so what is the ongoing cost to us of the government just saying we'll leave you where you are? And the other thing is, what if in the Australian today it's reported that the opponents of the plant say take the waste back to Australia? Well, if they say if there is a problem with the waste, what are the worst case scenarios and how do we deal with it, and how much is it likely to cost us?
Okay. Well, first thing, before, again, poor old Amanda cops it. We've not been... Oh, sorry. She'd already hit me once this morning. You didn't notice that, did you? We've not sat on our hands and just done nothing since this review started. As a board, and I know as Amanda's executive team, she's looked at all those things you've talked about and probably more. Now, there's some things we can say and there's some things we can't say, but we're not sitting on our hands and crossing our fingers and hoping. We've got things going on within Lynas that will help us, I guess, with our thinking now that should some of those things happen. So, Amanda, over to you to add a bit more.
So the 400 tonnes, it's about $16 million. So yes, it's money that I would really like us to have, and it's money that we're going to have to work hard on. If we get no increase, one of the things about the Lynas Next project that I mentioned was that it allows us to improve our recoveries as well as to improve our reliability, and it has delivered. And if we had been recovering all year at the rate that we're recovering now, this would not be an issue. So I'm somewhat relaxed about this. But having said that, we think that if this was not in sort of a volatile political environment at present, this would be a business as usual approval, which would move through reasonably easily. The civil servants don't have a problem with it, and it's within our EIA conditions. In terms of reading in the Australian that certain of the anti-Lynas actors say they want the product shipped back to Australia, I don't think that it is particularly helpful for us to speculate on what the review committee might determine. This is specifically part of their terms of reference, and we'll wait and see what they have to say. The anti-Lynas groups say many things, and many of them are both inaccurate and improper.
Okay, are there any more questions? Yes, Paul.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Ken Dyer. Amanda, I must compliment you on your presentation. I enjoyed it. I just have a very basic question. When is Lynas going to start producing in Australia? Why are we in overseas, and have you got any plans to do that, and what's preventing it?
Nothing prevents it. other than time, money, and expertise. But they're all accessible. We have a really strong commitment to Malaysia. We've got $1 billion on the ground in Malaysia. We have a skilled and capable workforce, and it is our intention that we will continue to develop our business there. But it is also our intention that we should continue to grow our business. And as we continue to grow, we may look at, does that mean that we have different assets on the ground in different places? But we're certainly not in a position to speculate any further than that. But we certainly are looking, you know, I've been being asked since about May, I think, well, what's next after next? And I can tell you we are thinking about what's next after next, but we will announce it once we've done the proper and diligent work.
Yes, that's right.
Bob Richardson, private investor. I firstly want to congratulate you, Amanda, on the incredible job you've done, especially in the last few months, in the way you've gone about organising the truth to come out so well and highlighting with your Malaysian employees so effectively in their communications. I've visited the LAMP some years ago, and I've been watching this company for 9 years now, and your point today about the real impact of 400 tonnes of production being affected, this is getting very near to really starting to hurt the shareholders. I've studied Malaysia fairly carefully. I lived there for 3 years many years ago. I'm aware of the concern about radiation and the environment, especially relating to tin mining and a former company, a rare earths company, no longer with us. But the fact is that we know from research done in Malaysia that there are many other problems of radiation around the country. And I note that Minister Yeo has scientific credentials. She commissioned this survey. She is Minister for the Environment for the whole of Malaysia. And it seems to me this is getting near the point where she needs to be called to account as to why Lynas is being singled out, and other companies, tin mining companies, residential areas around Kuala Lumpur that have background radiation levels far higher than we know is existing in the LAMP today. This is starting to really affect the shareholders.
Yes, to all of the above. I think that at the public forum, it was terrific. The AELB actually made many of the points that you just made, Bob. They made the point that KL is built on, tin tailings. They certainly made the point that, as the IAEA has done, that our operations are intrinsically low risk. To your point about why Lynas, I did actually say to someone one day, I feel like Humphrey Bogart in Casablanca, out of all the gin joints in all the towns in all the world, why did she have to walk into mine? And I feel like with all the environmental issues and all the companies in Malaysia, why Lynas? But it is what it is. Right? And so, therefore, it is important for us. And I really talk about our work here is about science, it's about politics, and it's about people, right? And the first hurdle for us to get through, the first gate to get through, is to ensure that the science is clear, that the review committee has the right information and is properly skilled to be able to deal with that. And so really that's where we are at present. There's a number of matters relating to the politics that, we will deal with. There's no value added by actually having a conversation about those. And most importantly for us, it's our people. And we all know that politicians ultimately listen to voters. And our people are voters, and our people and others who benefit from Lynas operations are voters as well. So I share your frustration, but it is what it is, and we will work diligently to move our way through this.
Okay. One more question. Yes, sir.
Well, it's not really a question, it's a comment. My name is Don Higgs and I am a Fellow of the Australasian Radiation Protection Society. I also have a PhD in chemical engineering, but that was a long time ago. It's just that people get terrified by this word radiation, and it's all a matter of the level of the radiation, which is important. We're all radioactive. You're radioactive, and so am I. Well, we're exposed to more radiation inside this building than we are in the fresh air outside, and background radiation is actually necessary for normal life and health. But you comply, I'm sure, with the regulatory requirements of Malaysia, which include dose limits, which are at least 100 times below the levels that are known to be radioactive. And I think most people simply don't realise this. I'm sure the Malaysian Regulatory Authority knows this, perhaps not the politicians, though. Okay?
Okay, thank you. You need to get him a flight to Malaysia. You can go back with Amanda now if you want. Yes, my friend.
Michael Strakosh from Abbott Cove Super Fund. In relation to the anti-Lynas sentiment, if you view it through the prism that you're the only company outside of China making a competitive product, you can see the effect of cat's paws from China jumping up and down about irrelevancies. And the other thing about concentrating on Lynas from the Malaysian Malaysian viewpoint, it's an Australian company, and Australians always been kicking bag for Malaysian politicians in that we don't respond much. And in terms of cutting production in December, the company could always, how does one say, put everyone on a holiday for a month. All their employees on holiday for a month with pay, no pay, would really concentrate the minds of the company antagonists and the general community in Kuantan. Just a comment.
Yeah, thank you for the point. Are there any more general questions? If not, we'll move on to the formal business of the meeting. Now, attendees will have received one of the following cards upon registration: a blue voting card, an orange non-voting card, and a yellow visitor's card. This year, we will again use the procedures whereby each resolution will be discussed, and then each resolution will be voted upon by way of a poll. Details of the proxies received for each resolution will be shown on the screen prior to each resolution being put to the meeting. As stated on the proxy form, the chairman will vote undirected proxies in favour of each resolution. Each shareholder who is eligible to vote at today's meeting will have received a blue-coloured voting card from the registration desk. At the conclusion of the meeting, representatives of the boardroom will collect the completed voting cards from each shareholder. The notice of the meeting, having been duly distributed to all shareholders, will be taken as read. So Resolution 1 seeks to approve the 2018 REM report, which is set out in the company's annual report. The remuneration report sets out specific details of the company's remuneration framework during the year ended 30th of June 2018. Proxies received for the Resolution 1 concerning the REM report are now shown on the screen. Yeah. Are there any questions on this resolution? No. I now put the resolution to the meeting for voting on by way of a poll. The text of the resolution is shown on the screen. Yeah. Because I have an interest in Resolution 2, the next section of the meeting will be chaired by Kathleen Conlon, a non-executive director of the company. So I'll hand over to Kathleen for the Resolution 2.
Good morning, everybody. Resolution 2 relates to the proposed re-election of Mike Harding as a director. Mike Harding joined the company as a non-executive director on 1st of January 2015. The details of Mike's background and experience are set out in the explanatory memorandum on the screen, and I can tell you that the board is wholeheartedly supporting this resolution. The proxies for the resolution are also shown on the screen. Are there any questions on the resolution? Okay, if there are no questions, then I now put Resolution 2 to the meeting for voting by way of poll. The text of the Resolution 2 is shown on the screen, and I will now pass the chair back to Mr. Harding.
Thank you, Kathleen. I now turn to Resolution 3. The resolution relates to the proposed re-election of Philippe Etienne as a director. Philippe joined the company as a non-executive director on the 1st of January 2015. The details of Philippe's background and experience are set out in the explanatory memorandum on the screen. The proxies for this resolution are shown now on the screen. Are there any questions relating to Philippe? No. I now put Resolution 3 to the meeting for voting on by way of a poll. The text of the Resolution 3 is shown on the screen. Resolution 4 relates to proposed amendments to the constitution of the company. The purpose of the amendments are to confirm the notices under the constitution can be electronically issued, update references to legislation, and reflect changes in law and practice. A full copy of the constitution is available on the company's website and at the company's registered office. In addition, copies of the constitution are available in the room today. The proxies of the resolution are shown on the screen. Are there any questions on the resolution? Oh, I now put Resolution 4 to the meeting as a special resolution for voting on by way of a poll. The text of the Resolution 4 is on the screen. Resolution 5 relates to the proposed grant of 444,408 performance rights for the benefit of our CEO and Managing Director, Amanda Lacaze. Each performance right is a right to acquire one share in the company in the future. More details regarding the performance rights that are proposed to be issued to Ms. Lacaze are set out in the explanatory memorandum. Proxies for this resolution are now shown up on the screen. Are there any questions on that resolution? Okay, I now put this resolution to the meeting for voting on by way of a poll. The text of the resolution is shown on the screen. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the formal business of the meeting, and if there's no other business, I declare the formal part of the meeting closed. I would now like to complete the poll process. The instructions for completing your blue card are as follows. Please first write your name in the space provided at the top of the card. Secondly, unless you wish to vote a number of shares in one manner and a number of shares in a different manner, clearly mark one only of the boxes on the voting paper next to each resolution. You may vote for or against each resolution. Please sign in the space provided at the foot of the voting card. And finally, lodge a completed blue voting card in the ballot boxes that are available at the doors when you exit the room, or hand your card to a boardroom representative. The results of the poll will be announced back to the ASX and will be posted on the Lynas website later today. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you once again for your attendance and the interest you've continued to show in our company. And I invite you to join directors and management for tea and coffee. Thank you.